I'd like to call this Bristol, Tennessee City Council meeting of January 7th, 2025 to order. First, we have a swearing in of myself as a re-elected city council member, and also Rebecca Ray Akerd as a new city council member. Mary Lee, would you like to administer the oath of office?
Ms. Akerd, if you'll come up, please. You'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ray Akerd, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and of the state of Tennessee and the charter and ordinance of the city of Bristol, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of city council to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's easy. You'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Vince Turner, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Tennessee and the charter and ordinances of the city of Bristol, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of city council to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Okay, now Mary Lee, can we call the roll?
Yes, sir. Hutton.
Here.
Powers. Here. Akerd. Here. Turner.
Here.
Firerobin. Here.
Welcome and thank you everyone for attending. There are a number of opportunities to speak on matters of city business this evening. Sheet explaining those opportunities have been made available when entering the meeting room. As we go forward with tonight's agenda, I will note each time when public comment is welcome. In addition, there was a sign-up sheet at the front, and I don't believe we had anyone on there, but I would now like to ask Vice Mayor Hutton to lead us in our invocation and Councilwoman Powers to lead us in our pledge.
Please stand. Let's pray. Father, it's been a tough day for a lot of people in our community. It's been a tough few days for a lot of folks. Cold and hard times that some people face and things that are going on in a lot of our lives, Lord, crowd in. But we are grateful that we live in this really wonderful city filled with incredible people. Lord, we're thankful for that. We're thankful that we have the freedoms that we have in this country. We're grateful. So, Lord, as we gather around this table tonight and we do the work of the city, we pray that you would give us wisdom. We specifically want to lift up the Browder family and ask that you would give them peace and comfort. Lord, we ask that you be with those who tonight are dealing with cold, those who are dealing, Lord, with hunger. Lord, we pray that you would raise up your people to care and show mercy wherever we can. And we pray for wisdom as we, as city leaders, do the work that you've called us to do here. We pray that we would do so in a way that is pleasing to you and that does the best good for as many as possible. Lord, we thank you for the gifts and the goodness that you've poured out on us. And we lift up this night to you. In the awesome and marvelous and powerful name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have our selection of mayor and vice mayor. The city charter requires the city council to select one of its members to serve as mayor and vice mayor each year, the first meeting of the calendar year. Accordingly, it would be in order for a motion to be made as a member to serve as mayor for the coming year.
Mr. Mayor, if it pleases council, I'd like to nominate Dr. Mark Hutton for the position of mayor for our coming year.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I have a nomination and a second. Any further? Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akerd,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Fire Robin.
Yes.
Okay, next we have to appoint a vice mayor. Is there a motion for vice mayor?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Vince Turner as our vice mayor.
I'll second that nomination.
Nomination second. Any further?
I will say this, Vince, you've done such a great job for the past 2 years as mayor. You've walked us through some really tough situations, and because of your outstanding leadership, I think it's only fitting that you circle back around to be vice mayor.
Thank you.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akerd,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Fire Robin.
Yes.
Okay, now we will take a 15-minute recess, and we have some, I think there's some goodies out front, and we'll take a recess, and then we will reconvene in 15 minutes at 20 after, I guess.
I think council takes a photo, right? Yeah.
I didn't have my mic on.
So we'll have mayor here, vice mayor here. Is that what we decided? Okay.
No, vice mayor. He said mayor here for the photo.
I can do whatever you need me to do.
Yeah, then you'll move there. Yeah, do you mind sitting on my couch?
I'll sit up so I don't actually.
Oh, I thought we were going out front.
Ladies on either side. Is this the mayor's appointment? call this meeting back to order. Moving on now, Ms. Bourgeois, are there any additions to tonight's agenda?
No, they're not.
All right, seeing none. We have one proclamation tonight. We have a proclamation on Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Councilwoman Fire-Robin will read the proclamation. And Ms. Gracie Delaney from the Community Care Liaison for the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking will be accepting the proclamation.
Whereas human trafficking occurs when a person is recruited, harbored, obtained, transported, provided, purchased, or obtained through force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose performing labor or providing services, labor trafficking, or engaging in commercial sex acts, sex trafficking. And whereas it's estimated that approximately 27.6 million people are trafficked around the world, and as many as 2,100 in East Tennessee alone. And whereas human trafficking erodes personal safety, dignity, and liberty, as well as the health and safety of communities at large. And whereas human trafficking does not discriminate based on age, sex, race, color, or national origin, but is, however, grounded in the inequitable conditions of relationships in society and disproportionately affects vulnerable individuals and marginalized communities. And whereas the need is great to remove the veil of secrecy that allows human trafficking to thrive, disrupt the systems it depends upon to flourish, and mobilize the community support around survivors of human trafficking and help them as they seek to recover and rebuild their lives. And whereas a unified response by allied professionals, law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, victims, service providers, healthcare professionals, volunteers, and others is needed to provide safety, justice, and healing to survivors, hold offenders accountable, and promote the welfare of the community. And whereas the Tennessee Counter-Trafficking Alliance, through the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking East Tennessee, exists to educate Tennesseans about the realities and pervasiveness of human trafficking, foster collaboration, intervention, and prevention efforts, provide comprehensive trauma-informed aftercare services to survivors, and advocate for more proactive legislation. And whereas during Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and throughout the year, the City of Bristol is provided an opportunity to celebrate the collaboration and work that's been done while rededicating ourselves to all that is still left to do, to reflect upon and honor the resilience, perseverance, and courage of survivors, and to urge everyone to recognize that we all have an active part to play in protecting the most vulnerable in our communities and ensuring survivors receive the care, support, and services that they need. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Mayor of the City of Bristol, Tennessee, does hereby proclaim the month of January 2025 and January 11th, 2025 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month and Human Traffic Awareness Day, aligning with the state of Tennessee and the rest of the nation in renewing our pledge to remember victims and survivors of human trafficking and in reaffirming our commitment to end their exploitation in communities across the city of Bristol. Signed by Mayor Mark Hutton today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for having me here this evening. My name is Gracie, and I'm the Community Care Liaison with the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking, or CCAHT for short. It really means a lot to us, Mayor Hutton, for you recognizing January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month and January 11th is Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Make sure you wear your blue on January 11th to show your awareness. Our agency provides aftercare services to all survivors of human trafficking in East Tennessee. We are the state-appointed human trafficking agency for East Tennessee, so we serve all 33 counties, all the way from Chattanooga all the way up here to Bristol. Human trafficking is here in our communities, and it's very real. It's in our nation, it's in our country, it's in this state, and it's in this county. The media has very recently very much sensationalized human trafficking. When we hear the term human trafficking, a lot of people think of snatch and grabs, kidnapping, strangers just snatching up beautiful girls in the Walmart parking lot or on the side of the street. And the truth is that's not what it looks like here. Trafficking in our communities looks like family members trafficking their own children in their home, mothers trafficking their young children in exchange for drugs or rent money. It also looks like intimate partners trafficking their boyfriend or girlfriend. So I think that's very important for us all to keep in mind. How are we supposed to combat human trafficking when we all have the wrong idea of it in our heads? So this really means a lot, and this gave me the opportunity to be here to share that little bit of information with you all. If I'm allowed to, I will leave some of my business cards outside at the front, along with some brochures. We do offer free human trafficking trainings to all industries, law enforcement, schools, things like that. So we would be very happy to do that. So thank you all again, and thank you, Mayor Hutton, so much for recognizing this month as this very important Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We have David Elkins here tonight, Senior Manager from Brown Edwards, to present the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Mr. Elkins.
I'd like to thank you all for having me here tonight. As he said, my name is David Elkins. I'm with Brown Edwards and Company. We've been doing this audit for the city for about the last 3 years now. We'd done it previously earlier in my career, so always good to come back here and do it. I believe before you all have the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the year ended June 30th, 2024. I'm just going to take very brief notes kind of on it and go over some of the high level things, and then if anybody has any questions, be happy to go over anything further. One thing that I kind of just want to start with is if you go to Roman numeral page 5, that is the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is the certificate that was submitted on last year's report to the GFOA. And that is the 21st year in a row that the city has received this certificate for excellence in financial reporting. The Finance Department has submitted this year's report as well, and we fully expect that this year's report will also receive that, so that will be 22 years in a row. So I think that's just a strong testament to Holly and her team in the Finance Department, the city, and Tara and her team over at the school board, that the city has received that award, many years in a row. We do a lot of these, and not a lot of people do that because it is a lot of extra work to go through the submission process, and then those reports get reviewed every year, and if there's something wrong, they'll point it out and say, we think you need to fix this. But there were very, very small comments on last year's report that were updated in this year. So again, I think that's a strong testament to the Finance Department that you all have here at the city. Our first part to this report is on pages 1 through 4. That is the independent auditor's report. We issued what is called an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is a clean opinion. Our audit opinion does state that included in this report is the financial information for Bristol, Tennessee Essential Services, as well as the Emergency Communications District, which, although included in this report, our firm did not audit those numbers. Those were audited by another firm, and they issued standalone reports, and we just combined their information into the city's information that we did audit. But that also goes through some of the management responsibilities that they're required to provide us with unrestricted access to information, provide us with true and correct information, and it goes through some of the auditor's responsibilities. We also issue an in-relation opinion on what's called required supplementary information. Those are schedules that include the management discussion and analysis, and some additional schedules in the back. And then there is a very large amount of supplementary information that we also issued an opinion on. But again, if somebody kind of wants to flip through this and you don't want to read through all 300 and some odd pages of it, I would recommend you read through the management discussion and analysis, which begins on page 5A and goes all the way through, I believe it's 5P. So there's a lot of current year and prior year comparison information, a lot of summary information about that. Just a couple of highlights on some of the numbers. The overall net position of the city increased about $8.7 million. 5.9 million of that was an increase in governmental activities, while 2.8 of that resulted in the business type. Most of that increase in the business type was related to the electric fund. The waterworks had an increase of $607,000, while the stormwater did have a decrease of $107,000. And that's not incredibly uncommon for stormwater funds, because most stormwater is not based on specific usage. It's on a per customer basis there, so it's a little bit trickier at times. But again, like I said, I would encourage y'all to just kind of read through that management discussion and analysis. The management discussion and analysis was prepared by Holly after she got a draft of the financials and provides a lot of just in-depth analysis on what caused some of the changes that you may see throughout the year. Pages 6 through 8 are the government-wide financials. Those are on the full accrual basis. I won't get into a whole lot of details because, like I said, that kind of shows you your net position change. The fund statements are on pages 12 through 14. Those are what's on the modified accrual basis. That's more your budget stuff. One of the things I know a lot of boards like to look at is especially the general fund budget to actual. The general fund budget to actual begins on page 15 and goes through page 18. Some of the highlights related to that. The general fund revenues were over the anticipated budget by about $630,000. A lot of that, I think that was due to some grants that came in towards the end of the year that were not anticipated. But total expenditures were $1.1 million under budget for the general fund. So I think overall, the general fund was doing good. You did have an overall decrease in the general fund balance, which was part of the budget and included in funding some projects as well as transfers to some other funds and whatnot. So although the balance did go down, I said that was part of your all's budgeting process, and it was expected to go down based off of what the final approved budget was. The general fund, it had a $2.6 million decrease. Overall, at the end of the year, your total fund balance is $21.1 million, and that's about 9 months worth of expenditures, excluding any anticipated transfers from two other funds, which you will have a lot of those, but just normal expenditures, you've got about 9 months worth of fund balance. You've got about 4.7 sitting in what's called unassigned fund balance. And then you also have $7.5 million that's sitting in and assigned to next year's budget, which would be you're about halfway through that year now. Then there's a plethora of information in the notes of the financials, which I will not get into detail at all because they just go and go and go. But our other contributions to this report begin on page 236. That's the independent auditor's report on internal control. And then after that, we have the independent auditor's report on compliance for each major program. We did perform what's called a single audit on the federal expenditures. There were no findings related to the federal portion of the audit. But you had about $14.2 million in federal expenditures this year, which is down from last year because there's a lot of that COVID-19 money is finally starting to wind down. I think you'll get back to kind of more your normal levels of federal expenditures kind of going forward. We did have one finding that we had to report as a state compliance finding. It was not reported as a material weakness or significant deficiency. It was where there was some slight expenditures over final budget, and the state doesn't really kind of give any leeway there. I don't think it was a breakdown in the control process at all. I think it was just that some of the accruals there at the end of the year, picking all those up, came in a little bit higher than estimated. But that was the only finding. Again, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and just that one state compliance finding. But be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the report, and can go into something in further detail if you'd like.
When you talk about the going over because of the accrual, were these items that had been budgeted in an earlier period that had gone up due to inflation?
It's very possible, yeah, that, when you do your budget, you think, you go out buy supplies. I don't remember exactly which line item it was specifically that caused some of the overages, but yeah, I think a lot of it was, there may have been some of it was possibly related to some grant money that came in and they had to expend the money to qualify under the grant.
Right.
But yeah, and they were not like large overages. They were very minuscule overages, but we were required to report
Right.
that just under the state requirements.
Thank
I
you.
would, if it was a large overage where you're over, we went $1 million over, or even $100,000 over, then I would think, yeah, you've got more concern. But these were very small items.
Great, thank you.
So, and then the other the document that you have is the required communication with those charged with governance. That just goes over what some of the accounting estimates are involved, the useful life of the capital assets, the estimates that the actuaries use for pension and OPEB liabilities, which are all very, very large numbers that go into these. States that, we did not encounter any difficulties with management in the course of our audit, and that to our knowledge, management did not consult with any other outside accountants during the process of the audit. And then attached to that is the management representation letter, which was signed by Holly representing the finance department of the city, Tara Music representing the finance department of the schools, and then Kelly representing city management. So, but again, it was very, very smooth audit. Everything got submitted to the state on time, and Holly uploaded to the GFOA to obtain the certificate on that again going forward. I say this every year I'm up here, but I do think you all have a great finance department. We ask a lot of questions, and they have to answer our questions while still continuing to make sure payroll gets out, make sure vendors get paid. The work doesn't stop because the auditors come in, and we're very needy people as far as what we ask for. But they always make sure and get us what we need, in a timely fashion. And they're happy to sit down and discuss any questions that we may have and whatnot. So definitely appreciate the opportunity to work with the city again this year.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Elkins?
Just want to thank you for doing your work and thank our city staff, particularly finance department, for working so well with you, and also that we can be so proud. And I say the finances are something we kind of take for granted. They're doing their job over there and things just look good, and we don't always appreciate what that means, and that not everybody has that full confidence that comes to fruition. So just want to really thank our finance department for the work they do.
Well, and it's great that Tara cut her teeth here with the city.
Yep.
So between the city and the school system, Holly and Tara work very well together, and so that's an added bonus. Thank you.
Ms. Elkins. Move along now to Board of Education Liaison Report. So Dr. Tudor, thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Just have a couple of things for you this evening. First of all, congratulations, Mayor Hutton and Vice Mayor Turner, and congratulations, Councilwoman Akerd. Glad to have you on board. Just wanted to remind everyone that the last week in January is Tennessee School Board Association Week. We have a wonderful school board. If you're not familiar with our school board members, they work tirelessly to ensure that we have an exceptional education and for our children in our community. So they, as you all know, they attend board meetings, obviously, but their primary role is to set policy. They establish the budget, oversee our educational programming. They always put students first in every decision that they make, which I think is commendable. And they do all of that for no compensation whatsoever. So just volunteers and public servants for sure. So thank you to Eric Cuddy, Jim Butcher, Debbie Darnell, Jennifer Henson, and our newest board member is Charlie Taylor. That's really all I had for you this evening, except I was asked to give a jingle update. So she's doing well. She is with a primary handler, living with that handler who works. She also works at Viking Academy, so Jingle goes to Viking Academy every day now, and she's continuing her training. She won't fully be trained until she's a year old and receives her certification, but she spends every day at Viking Academy with those students now. And it's going over so well that we're hoping that we can expand that and expedite that much quicker than I had imagined. I thought it would be one a year for several years, but we're trying to figure out ways that we can seek sponsors and buy more dogs to get them in all of our schools quicker. So she's doing fantastic, and she's doing well with her training. Phil, any questions for me?
Just to add that a Jingle is a therapy dog that is joining, because
Yes,
we just
sorry, I
talked
should have
about
said that.
trafficking,
Yes.
and it sounded
She's
a little bit
yes.
questionable. So,
Well,
yes.
yes, she is a therapy dog, a little bit different than a service dog, but she provides that just sort of a calming environment for students in crisis or adults even in crisis, or she's just a calming presence at the school, and we hope that we'll be able to expand that to all of our schools. We've got some prospects for another one potentially that we can try to get. It's quite a process, as you might imagine, to get them trained and fully ready, but yes, Jingle is a therapy dog.
I have something, I'm
Yes.
sorry. How excited are y'all about restoring the VT game?
Yeah, very
Did I
excited.
hear and read that correctly? And
Yes.
will
Yep,
there be
that'll
some
happen in
new
25.
activities associated with that?
We hope so. We hope we'll bring back some of those traditional competitions. One of the things we've talked about is actually having a tire flip down State Street that is competitive for both teams. So we've talked about that, and hopefully that we can pull something like that off. That's, previous to the football season, actually. That's in the summer. But yeah, some of the fun VT activities that we used to do, bonfires and activities.
That'd
Yeah,
be great.
we're excited about that.
Yes, me too.
And I guess you could also, do you want to make any comment about the Classic? Or
Yeah, we had a
getting through
fantastic
it?
classic. I had
different
very, very
deal?
preliminary numbers that we exceeded last year's gate. That's very preliminary. I don't even have expenses written out, but some of that information came in today. We did some upgrades in Viking Hall. If you haven't been in there, love for you all to see it. And actually, Kelly and I have talked recently about maybe doing a tour of our facilities, certainly with Councilwoman Akert on the council now, and we've got some new county commissioners who maybe haven't seen our facilities, but we've upgraded Viking Hall a little bit. We have a great space to honor our Hall of Fame inductees, but we have new video boards and digital things that happened. We had a new food court experience during the Classic that gave a variety of food options that we have not had in previous years. So we got very great feedback, and we hope it'll continue to be bigger and better than ever. It was very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Any other
ma'am.
questions for Dr. Peter?
I just have one. Where do we stand on the metal detectors in Tennessee High? I know that's been kind of sporadic. Is that something that's going to continue in 2025? Or
So
just as
probably
needed?
randomly from the most recent usage of them. We've had them. We actually own some of them that we use for events like prom, for instance, when it's not necessarily a school inside the school building, but when we use it inside the castle or something like that. So we own them. They're, as you might imagine, cumbersome and a bit trying in terms of
Time-consuming.
running 1,200 kids through those first thing in the morning. 'Cause we have some students here that could probably give you their experience when we did that a few weeks ago. But what we found was it was effective. Students appreciated it. We got some great feedback from that, and it helped allay some of the fears and concerns because we had some things that were questionable. But we think that kind of a spot check, almost like having a, police presence and a dog come through, same thing with metal detectors. It might be they show up one morning and they go through it. So,
I think that's great.
yeah, and we've definitely, with the safety law that changed a year ago, students can only enter in certain doors. They can't use all the doors at Tennessee High, which is, we've narrowed that down to just 2 sets of doors in entering the building in the morning. So that really confines them to a particular location, which helps us with safety. Students at Tennessee High School have to wear an ID badge. If you can imagine, these folks look like adults, so it's really hard to identify when somebody does not belong. If you walk through Tennessee High, when you walk through an elementary school, you know which ones are students because they're little humans versus the adults, and so they're easier to identify somebody who doesn't belong. So lots of safety measures, and the metal detectors are part of that.
I didn't realize that the school system actually owned the metal
do.
detectors. I think
Yep.
that's really awesome. You know, as my husband reminds me on a regular basis, and with risk management and anticipation, in New Orleans this past week, tragically, they had the bumpers, but they didn't put them out.
Yep.
And the tragedy there could have been avoided. I get that, you know, random usage is a good thing, but I just, the prudent man rule is more is better. So, but I don't make the policy. I make the policy over here. But I'm glad to know that you have them and hope that you will use them frequently.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Dr. Duder.
Thank you.
We do have some students here from Tennessee High. We're glad that you all are here. We're always glad to have students from Tennessee High. I'd make you stand up, but you'd probably hate me forever if I did that. So are you with Mr. Cross's class? That's great. Yeah, we're glad you're here. Thank you for being here tonight. We're moving now to public hearings. We have one public hearing on tonight's agenda. Ordinance 24-16, amending the zoning map of Bristol, Tennessee by designating certain property as R3 multifamily at 1100 and 1102 Glen Street, 1044 and 1056 Glendale Street. The public hearing is open for ordinance 24-16, amending the city's zoning map to designate property at 1100 and 1102 Glen Street, 1044, 1056 Glendale Street as R3, and Chair Young will present.
Thank you, Mayor Hutton. Good evening, council members. This is a rezoning request brought to you by Mr. Thomas Carter with Brand Investments. The request is to rezone, as Mayor Hutton read, 4 parcels from the current zoning of RM to an R3 zone. Currently, under the RM zone, these lots are quite unbuildable, so rezoning them to R3 will make them a little easier to utilize for somebody to build some new homes in this location. Our future land use plan and policy does support this rezoning request. The rezoning complies and aligns with the future land use classification of a medium density residential district. And we feel that, staff felt that the policy 2 did support the rezoning request and then considered the rezoning appropriate, recommended to Planning Commission for approval of the rezoning request. The public notice signs are on the property. We did notify adjoining property owners by letter of the rezoning request. We did receive 2 comment forms back on this rezoning request from adjacent property owners that were in support of the rezoning. And then ultimately, the Planning Commission discussed this item and voted on November 18th to send a favorable recommendation to City Council on this request. I'm happy to back up to any of the maps or answer any questions you all may have.
Does any member of council have questions? Would anyone in the audience like to address the council on this matter? If so, please come to the podium and state your name before making any comments. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Moving now to the appearance of citizens. This is the time that provides an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any matter of city business. A response will likely not be made at this time, since most cases neither the council nor the city manager will be prepared to effectively respond to the concern. The city manager will look into the matter and report back to the City Council, or as appropriate, have staff meet with you in an effort to satisfy your concern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual and are not transferable to other individuals. Groups are encouraged to select the spokesperson to represent them. We have a list here, but no one signed up. But is there anyone here that would like an opportunity to address council at this time? Okay, would you please come to the podium, and if you'll give us your name and your address. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
My name is Melba Lewis. I am a recent resident of the state of Tennessee and the city of Bristol. I moved here about a month ago from Roanoke, Virginia. I came here in order to find out, how does this city run? This is my first time here. I hope to return to the city, to another council meeting, to find out more about this city.
Ms. Lewis, before you sit down, would you give us your address, please?
Oh, 132 Cherrywood Lane, Bristol, Tennessee.
Great. Thank you so much. We're glad that you're here, and you're welcome to all these meetings, but if you have questions for any member of council, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you. Now we move to appointments. Tonight we have one appointment, and that is for the library board. We have one candidate for one open position on the library board, and that is Dr. Barry Hopper. Would any member of council like to speak on behalf of the candidate?
I guess I can, or I'd say all of us could have known Barry since I was a child, and let's see, he's involved in our community and be a great candidate. Is he currently on there, Margaret?
He is currently on it, and I think he took somebody's position, so he hadn't been on there a long time.
Right.
So he's learning the ropes, et cetera, and also I can advocate for, he has given back to the community in so many different ways, and this is one way that he's continuing to give back.
We have Vice Mayor Turner vote for Dr. Hopper, Councilwoman Powers voting for Dr. Hopper, Mayor Hutton voting for Dr. Hopper, Councilwoman Akerd voting for Dr. Hopper, and Councilwoman Fire-Robin voting for Dr. Hopper.
All right. Thank you very much. We're very grateful for Dr. Hopper and all. He's actually served in a variety of capacities. In fact, he served on county commission for a season. A short piece of time there.
Yep.
Now we're moving to ordinances and resolutions. We have one ordinance on first reading tonight. It's ordinance 25-1, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of Bristol, Tennessee by designating certain property as B3 general business at 333 and 337 Bluff City Highway. Chair Thielen will present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we do have a first reading on a rezoning request filed by Mr. Nathan Hall Jr. with L&K Incorporated. The request is to rezone the property here on the screen, so it's hatched in red, and it's essentially the blue circle location and the office building that's adjacent. The request is to rezone from B1B to B3, so that's our general business district. Bluff City Highway has multiple zones on it, but both B1B and B3 are present in this area. If you look at the area that's hatched, well, the hatched area is the location site. The area that's shown in the darker red is zoned B1B. What you see in pink is B3. So there is B3 adjacent to this parcel. Here's just a location map that shows those two buildings outlined in red. The city's land use map, future land use map plan and policy shows this area as two land use classifications can be considered here. So the general business district, commercial district, as well as low density residential. The staff analysis concluded that the rezoning, because we do have that commercial land use present here, that rezoning to B3 would be appropriate in this instance, and that the land use policy number 2 supports that we should be sustaining and supporting existing business areas in our city. Public notice signs are present on the site here. We did send out notification letters again to the adjacent property owners. We did receive 2 comment forms back that are in support of the rezoning request. The Planning Commission did review this during their December meeting, and the vote was unanimous 7-0 to send a favorable recommendation to City Council on the request. That I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's what I was going to do. Any questions for Ms. Young?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to take action on ordinance 25-1. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this matter? So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akert,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firehouse.
Yes.
Thank you. We have one ordinance for a second reading tonight, ordinance 24-16, to amend the zoning map of Bristol, Tennessee by designating certain property as R3 at 1100 and 1102 Glen Street and 1044, 1056 Glendale Street. This item was presented earlier by Ms. Young in the public hearing part. Are there any questions for Ms. Young on this matter? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance 24-16?
Motion to approve ordinance 24-16.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mary Lee, can you please call the roll?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akert,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firehouse.
Yes.
Fantastic. Move now to the consent agenda. Is there any member of council that would like any item removed from the consent agenda?
No, but I just want to thank Clayton for being here.
Well, that's
for
what I was
yeah.
getting ready to say of,
Yeah.
that, I think normally, do we have that as a separate
I think it's usually separate.
item? But,
Oh,
Well, is she still got to read the consent agenda? She's still got to,
right.
we're not there yet, so is there
whether we want to pull anything off.
is there anything you want to pull off the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull up 25-9.
Okay. All right. So we'll be removing 25-9, approving tax equivalent payments by Bristol, Tennessee Essential Services for fiscal year 2025. We'll handle that separately. All right. Does the council wish to handle that first and then go back to the consent agenda?
Sure.
Would you like to do that? Okay. Let me pull that up.
No, the only reason I've asked to have this removed, because I think it's important of the amount of money that is given every year to the city, and it's the maximum amount. And I believe last year we were sitting here at this same time, and there was fairly large of the way the state changed a few things. There was a decrease in the amount of funding. This year, there is an increase of the monies that's coming back to the city. So I believe it's what, 1.6
1.6.
this year.
1.613, 688, 19, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve 2516.
There's a motion to approve 25-16. Is there a second?
25-9.
That's 9, that's right. 25-9. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? Mary Lee, take the roll, please.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akert,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firehouse.
Yes.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay. All right. Ms. Bourgeois, would you please read the consent agenda? I got us out of order there, I'm sorry.
Thank you. First item is approval of the minutes of the December 3rd City Council meeting. Next, we have approval of the minutes of the December 17th City Council called meeting. And then approval of Resolution 25-1, awarding an upgrade for fire station reporting management software to Image Trends. And we have approval of Resolution 25-2, authorizing entering into a contract with Kimley Horn to assist the MPO to complete the local road safety plan. Then we have approval of Resolution 25-3, approving submittal of an application to the Department of Homeland Security for assistance to the firefighter grant program. And we have approval of Resolution 25-4, authorizing participation in the Public Entity Partners Cybersecurity Matching Grant Program. Approval of Resolution 25-5, authorizing the city to obtain cybersecurity insurance. And there is an amendment to that one, and that is the amount was reduced. The total amount that we have to pay for that has reduced by just over $7,000. Nothing else has changed with our coverage on that one. Then we have approval of Resolution 25-6, authorizing participation in the state and local cybersecurity grant program. Approval of Resolution 25-7, adopting the 2025 update to the Bristol, Tennessee Transit Agency Safety Plan. And approval of Resolution 25-8, authorizing the purchase of a pickup truck under the state contract for our fire department.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the items included in the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Would anybody in the audience like to address council any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Akard,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Fireup.
Yes.
Great. Now it's time for the city manager's report. Ms. Bourgeois.
Thank you. Just a few things tonight. We had sent an email out about the TML Legislative Conference that's happening March 3rd and 4th in Nashville. Vice Mayor Turner responded. If anyone else would like to attend that conference, please let Velma know. The hotel rooms are filling up, so if you could let us know soon, that would be great. I will be attending that as well. We are hoping to submit a grant application, or at least the preliminary application for an aquatics facility. Again, this is preliminary, but it's an LPRF grant, and Mike Maines is working on that with First Tennessee Development District, so we are trying to move that project forward. I know that's been discussed quite a bit. And then we received notice a couple months ago that the building that our city employee clinic is located in is coming up. We were asked if we wanted to lease additional space. And in discussions, we talked about the potential for purchasing that building so that the county could operate a public health clinic in Bristol. That's been talked about for a while as well. We are trying to move that forward. The seller has asked for a letter of intent. It's a non-binding, basically, letter of intent. If there's agreement by council, I will submit that. And we are working with the county on trying to move that forward and find funding for the building. It's a reasonable price, and given the lease payment that we're making right now, it actually makes a lot of financial sense for either us to obtain that and lease it to the county, or for the county to obtain, and we work that out. But this would be the first step to that. So if it's acceptable to the council, I would like to get that, just the general letter of intent to the seller this week if possible. No formal actions required at this time by council, though. And that's all I have.
Would you rather just kind of give you the nod this evening? Is there any opposition to this
I
proposal?
think it makes such good sense, and we've asked for this for quite a while, and the building, my understanding, is available, and it would accommodate the needs of both the city and the county. And I believe that Bristol should have its own county health care facility. We're the only entity in the county that does not have one, and we've asked for one for several years. So if they can't find it for us, we'll go find it for ourselves.
So I'll just say that at least formally from 2008 to present, we've been trying to, a little passive-aggressive, like ask and then back off and ask again. But Bristol lost its health department facility when we built the new hospital. The new hospital. And I don't even know why we didn't do something at that time. But for us, our health department is outside our city limits, so it means our buses don't run to the health department. We have made some other arrangements, but they're really difficult for people to make those arrangements and pay to travel to the health department, et cetera. So having a health department facilities for our citizens within our city is long overdue and would be awesome, and also probably advantages to combine it with our clinic as well, to have that as a full healthcare facility. So I do hope this will work out. Hope that Gary Mays as director and Dr. May and the Sullivan County Commission will partner with this, and I know we want something bigger and some other visions for the health department for our county, but for at this point, I think it's a great solution. So.
Do you need anything more from us?
Nope, that's it. And then I did think of one more thing. Sorry. very excited to announce that Monica Tucker, a Frontier Health social worker, has started working. She's housed in our police department. She started work today, actually. So we're thrilled to have her. She's there full-time. She will be assisting on any type of police call that has a mental health component, as well as doing proactive work with our police officers downtown and anywhere else that it is needed within the city. So we're very excited to have her. I got to meet her today, and she's very excited to be here as well. We'll bring her to a work session so that you can meet her and hear more about the work that she's going to be doing in our police department.
And just for the public's edification, would you like to share with everyone how long you've been working on this?
Since I walked in the door, we've been working
So
on
it's
this.
been about 2 years that
Yeah.
this has been actively pursued. There have been those that have questioned the city's response to working with the unhoused and those that are on the streets, and it's been a slow process. It has been a process that has required threading the needle at times to get what we needed, but I think to our city manager, thank you. You took it up, you stayed with it until it was accomplished, and this is a huge land for Bristol and for our police department to have a ride-along that knows what the wraparound services are. So to those who have said, that we weren't doing anything, we have been doing. We have been working diligently trying to find that perfect situation. And while it may not be perfect, it's certainly a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the chief and the police department and our officers.
Absolutely.
Because this is one of those, it has to be a success. It has
Right.
to. And everyone's looked at it that way and really accepted it with open arms and enthusiasm, and it will be wonderful. It will be great.
So I'll just also add, as y'all know, I work with Family Promise of Bristol, and have volunteered this week and last week at the center, and the days I were there, we did not have any calls for EMS or for police. The service that is provided by our police department and our fire department is great. Also, I think our case managers have worked well with our police and fire and helped them to learn too. So looking forward to having somebody. People are hard, all kinds of people are hard. And when you're having the worst time in your whole life, and there's a lot of different elements going on, and your health is not good, and your mental health is unstable, it's rough for that person, and it's really rough for people who work with people going through that. So I think this is a great move to do, and hopefully we will see some great results. And we're working hard with helping people find their spaces and do better. So.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there city council comments?
I'll start.
Great.
Just real quick, congratulations, Dr. Hutton. And thank you, the rest of the council, for the last 2 years as mayor. I've enjoyed it. It will be nice not to have to run these meetings and just kind of sit here and and thank you for appointing me to vice mayor and your trust in that. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And Happy New Year. Everyone.
I have a comment.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd just like to retouch on the Browder family. Our hearts go out to them for the passing of Linda, and they've been so active in our community and everything they've done with BTS. And anyway, she was just such a sweetheart, and I thought a lot of her personally. And then would just also like to say I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you.
Okay. And congratulations.
Thank you.
And you've come at a good time. because there are a lot of great things going on, and a lot of time has been put into getting us where we are. And my comment is we're going to elevate Bristol, and we're going to continue to elevate Bristol in every way that we can. We have a lot of great projects that, after many years of trying to get them funded and up and moving, it looks like they're going to happen. So we're excited about that. We too have the Browder family in our thoughts. There are a lot of people struggling right now, as Dr. Hutton intimated, and a lot of illness. A lot of illness amongst our most vulnerable, our children and our elderly. So just to keep in touch with your neighbors, check on them in the cold. If you can help those that need a hand, please do. And Happy New Year.
Is it Mayor Dr. Hutton?
I don't know. Margaret, do you-
Sure, I'll just add in a couple other things. The cold weather is pretty rough, and I think I talked to somebody during the summer, and then I forget stuff too, but I think that our city needs to look at what we can do with the severe cold and severe heat. We have Salvation Army and Haven Arrest. They stay full almost all the time in good weather. So there's a lot of people who end up not being able to be sheltered because there are not enough beds. They open their doors, it's called White Flag, and they open their doors on nights like we have, but we have 2 weeks of really cold weather. We have a lot of people. So I think it would be great for us, and I know I just read, I have a friend who's on Oak Ridge City Council, and she posted that their city was opening some warming shelters, or a warming shelter to help out during these cold weather days. Also, somebody just told me that Johnson City, besides their Salvation Army, their American Legion opens up, which we have an American Legion. I don't know what their facility is like. It's not just providing the space. We also have to have people who are hosting. So it's looking at, as guests are in your home, guests who are in need to be sure that they have what they need to be comfortable and to settle in. So it's the staffing of things as well. And as I'll also put a plug in for our shelters, COVID was very difficult with staffing, and that has not changed. It is hard, and the labor prices have gone up, and some of the abilities with budgets to pay competitive salaries for people is hard. So trying to have the employees to do some of this work can be hard. There's a lot of turnover. So anyway, I just hope overall we still need to work together as a community to solve it. This problem doesn't belong to Salvation Army. It doesn't belong to Haven Arrest. It doesn't belong to our downtown merchants. It belongs to all of us to try to figure out how we can help Bristol be a better place for everybody. So just hope we can do some more with that, and having the new person coming on will also help for one of the steps to do that. So anyway, also just wanted to announce that for the 8th year, we've done a community Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Lee Street Baptist Church has done a service on the Sunday before Martin Luther King Day for many years, and it's at 4 o'clock. I encourage people to attend it. But about 8 years ago, we wanted to also have a community-wide, so that the community got to plan and get together. So Appalachian Promise Alliance, YWCA, some other groups and congregations plan a program on the actual holiday, and it starts taking place. Last year, the YW did a children's event from 12 to 1:30, so that's lots of things for children, and agencies come in and do different activities. And then at 1:30, people gather, everybody gathers at the YW, and we do a march. And I say that because we walk from YWCA to the sign, which is pretty short, and then to First Baptist Church. We did it at the train station. We outgrew the train station. We now are, last year did First Baptist Church. So we gather at 1:30, walk at 1:45, and First Baptist Church at 2 o'clock. One of our values is to do an hour, so we really try to have that hour, and it's with people speaking and readings and some singing to go along with it, but recognizing that day and what Dr. King's contribution to our country was. So join us. Hopefully it won't be this cold. It has been, but hopefully it won't be.
Well, I just want to say thank you to our council for giving me this opportunity to serve you as a council, but also to serve our city. We live in a really incredible town, and we are standing on the work of so many councils before us, and also the contribution that our city staff continue to make, which is fantastic. We have an incredible city staff. We're very grateful for the work that they do. Looking forward to 25 and continuing the work that we started, I guess, sort of at the end of 23 in our strategic plan, and putting those things in action and really helping this city to continue to be as great as it is. I think looking around, I think Bristol is the best town around here, and we're looking forward to all that. And I think a testimony to that is one of the things I really appreciate about Councilwoman Fryerrobin is she consistently puts in front of us and reminds us about this. We want this to be a great place for everyone in our community, a great place for them to live. And I do echo what you're saying about the idea. Many of us profess faith, and Jesus calls us to love our neighbor, and that's an aspect of loving our neighbor, is seeing them as people made in the image of God and doing the work that we can to help and support them. So I appreciate you pointing that out. So with that, with no other things to be said, this meeting is now adjourned.